So guys, here we are, yeah? A7S II versus Fuji X-T2. Minus the booster. So we recently had to do a shoot for Fujifilm for their launch of the new GFX camera, and basically they asked us to shoot with the X-T2.
Let's do it.
Boom. It's a small mirrorless camera with an APS-C sensor. It's lightweight and it packs a punch. But I want to compare it to something that we're really used to, that a lot of people use and which is a very good camera. The Sony A7s II. In my experience and from a wedding film point of view, I'm telling you what I'm thinking. And in the end I have a conclusion. Like, what is best? Which one should we use? I don't know. So first of all, the biggest difference between the Sony A7s and the X-T2 is this is full frame and this is not. So this is APS-C sensor, which makes this body also bigger and this smaller and lighter. At the same size, this has more shallow depth of field, and the Sony is very well known for their very good ISO performance or low light performance. Well, we've tested it with the X-T2 and I have to say that it does really well. It goes up to 3200 ISO without really losing quality. And in most situations, we don't even crank this one up to far over 3200. We can. Then I want to talk a little bit about the controls. So I'm very used to the Sony already, but the record button. Sometimes you press it and sometimes it doesn't even record. And adjust the buttons, so I've put it to C1. With the X-T2 in video mode, you just press the shutter button to start recording. So that is a really big plus. I mean, these are the ISO dials. This is the dial for the shutter. These are all like physical dials. There's a dual card slot, but it doesn't record to the dual SD, so it's only for photography, which is a shame. Otherwise, it would have been really nice. One of the major things that Sony has, they have the in-body stabilization, IBIS. It basically stabilizes every single lens on the camera, and it has a lot of good things to it because you can shoot a lot more handheld without having to use a tripod. Just being able to hold it against you and then just shooting it like this. Then the Fuji doesn't have that. I think that's one of the biggest downsides to it. If this camera would have it, then I would be really keen to go for this one. So here you can see the Fuji X-T2 with a 23mm lens on it, which is equivalent to a 35 on a full frame because this is a crop sensor. This is the Sigma 35mm 1.4 art lens with the Metabones version 4 in it. But just look at the size of this. And honestly, it's not a fair comparison because I'm not using native Sony glass. The autofocus on the Fuji, I love. I mean, you have this little joystick on the back. You can see where you want to focus. So basically, and then it autofocuses like this. The thing is with the Sony lenses is they have good lenses, but they are really expensive. And that's the thing with Fuji. They have a lot of good lenses there. And they're quite affordable. You could buy two of these instead of this one. So with Sony having the S-Log, Fujifilm has F-Log. But there's a little catch to it. It doesn't record F-Log internally. It doesn't record it externally just like this. You will need something else. This. It's the battery pack. So what it does is it gives F-Log to an external recorder. One of the downsides of the Sony is the very complex and very weird menu system. It doesn't make sense. Always searching for the settings and everything. Fuji did a much better job. It's way more user-friendly, it's clear, and it takes you less time to find whatever you need. So if we compare the footage of the Sony with the Fujifilm, the shooting modes of the cameras are pretty much the same. So the resolution, 4K, They both shoot 100 MB per second, but there still is a big difference. The Sonys shoot natively in Full HD and 4K. What the Fujifilm does, it oversamples the footage that they shoot. So in reality, the 4K footage is 6K footage downsampled to 4K. And the Full HD footage is 3K downsampled to Full HD. What it does, it makes it a lot sharper. And another thing that the Fujifilm has, which is for Full HD, they record 100 MB per second instead of the 50 that the Sony does. Basically, it means that the Full HD footage is a lot sharper and better than what's happening here. Shooting this in 24p Full HD. Okay, shooting in 4K now. I just shot 4K in that one, and you can see the difference in like focal length changing because the Fuji, it crops in further. Then if we're going to talk about colors, then, well, Fujifilm is really known for their color space. That was the one thing that I didn't like about the Sony, is that the colors, they're okay, you know, you can do a lot with it, but out of camera, I wasn't too sold on it. I like the one from Canon better, but Fuji, their colors are gorgeous. So from a recording point of view, I actually think that the Fuji wins. The color is better. It's sharper, and it has a smaller body. So another thing that the battery pack adds is longer recording modes. Without the battery pack, you can only record about 10 minutes, which is a big shame. So with the battery pack, it can go up to 30 minutes, while the Sony just packs it all in there and you can record 30 minutes. For ceremonies or long speeches, or if you want to do long takes, then that's a big downside. So if I would come to a conclusion, I like both cameras, but this one is really expensive. I really love the IBIS, and the IBIS is one of the things that I say that gives it a bit of an advantage when shooting. But this one, the color is good, the quality of the footage is good, it's small. I actually don't shoot in S-Log, I don't shoot in F-Log, I don't use the microphone, the headphone jack that often, and just it being so small and all the good lenses also being really small, it's just so easy to travel. And I'm actually pretty impressed by what this thing delivers, which really makes me consider going for Fuji.